welcome to Winedown Wednesday. And today's wine is Skinny Girl Moscato. This is a white wine, like a blend. Y'all know I really don't like white wines, and tonight I'm kind of holding it down to myself because it seems like my guests kind of fake me out, so the show must go on. So I'm going to be talking about how do we heal from relationships. But first, I want to give today's wine. I'm doing Skinny Girl wine. Is a Moscato. It's usually the price is about $19 to $17.97. It's I guess you would call it. It originated from Italy. I really don't like Moscatos because they're really really sweet and because I'm borderline diabetic, I don't drink a lot of sweet wines. I prefer just straight red wine for me. But it's a light wine. Of course, they call it Skinny Girl. It has notes of peach and pear and mango in it. Of course, it goes well with, you can eat like chicken and white wines usually go well with chicken and poultry, things like that. And of course, anything that I drink, I'm gonna drink it with a good lamb because you guys know I love a good lamb. So tonight I'm going to be talking about how do we heal from broken relationships, and do we become guarded or do we become free agents? So I'm going to do a two-parter on this series, is because I just wanted to have just some general dialect about it, but because I'm on here by myself, I can't really have dialect about it because I can't talk to myself, right, unless you guys send some questions in. So, and feel free to interact as much as you can because there's so much that I can talk about by myself. But what made me come to this topic, and we love to talk about relationships on here. I came up with this topic because so many times when I engage with different females, and sometimes I may say something and they may say, "Oh, you're not healed because you feel this way," or "You're not healed because you're saying this specific thing." But we all heal differently, right? So I want you guys to grab a glass of wine or your favorite drink, and let's get into this conversation about this. So when we're generally healing from long-lasting relationships, we go through different phases of healing, right? So first we go through that grieving stage. So we all grieve any type of relationship, whether it's a intimate relationship with a partner that we're sexually involved with, or friendships that we're intimately engaged with, our friendships where we confide in this person, our most intimate thoughts and things that we would normally say to anyone else, we can pour into this particular person, right? So the first thing is what people don't realize is when we're departing from different relationships, we have to actually acknowledge the emotions and where we are in the process, because denial is a horrible place to be in a relationship. And I've been accused of being in denial about the space I was in with someone, but I've never been in denial. It's just the fact of I accepted where I was in a relationship with someone, and I kind of was ready to let that person, or they were ready to move on. Because what I find is with most men, and when you're trying to depart out of relationships, you kind of have to let them be the one to say, it's over and I don't want this relationship anymore, right? So once they decide they don't want to be in a relationship anymore, the relationship is over. And it's up to you as the female, if this is something you want or you don't want. You still have to come into some type of acceptance with this separation of whatever it is. So I just want to talk about But since I'm on here by myself, so I'm just going to give like a little story time to you guys. So I'm old, so I've had many relationships and in my lifetime. So I have 2 kids. I have 2 different fathers of my kids. Who and they know their dads, and their dads are in their lives, and they know them. They communicate with them all the time. But the fathers of my kids were always, I call them ladies men. They always were with different ladies or what have you. And sometimes men can be very territorial. And once they stake their claim that you are mine, you become, and I don't know why men feel this way. It's not all men. Some men, you become a part of their property, especially if they're investing into you, they're giving you money, if you live together, you guys share a household, they're providing a living space for you, but especially if they're paying all the bills, right? So what happens is they basically, I don't know if they become I guess they will become the person who is they are the head of the household, right? If they're bringing in all of the money and they're paying all the bills, if this is the scenario, if they're paying all the bills and they're the head of the household, then and especially if they know how to push your buttons, they can push your buttons, and they know how to, I don't, well, I'm gonna just say it, manipulate situations that they want to go the way they want them to go. So if they're cheating, they have all of these different lies that they come home and tell as to why they late coming home, why they didn't come home, and things like that. Well, as the female in the home, they must think that you never get tired of this shit, right? That you're just going to put up with this forever and a day. You're going to put up with their cheating. You're going to put up with everything that they're putting out there until finally one day you get tired. But you're trying to end the relationship, but they're doing everything they can to keep that relationship going. Now, when they meet someone that they want to be with and that woman knocks their socks off, right? Then, of course, now they're on to the next. They're pursuing someone else. So now they are ready to move on. So, and that's another thing. Do we move on from relationships when the male is ready to move on from the relationship? Or is this a mutual, does it become mutual when the male person is ready to move on from the relationship? And I always had that question, like, it's not really over until they say it's over. You can want it to be over. You can tell them it's over. You can do everything in your power to let them know, okay, this situation is over, but they are still pursuing the situation, which is prolonging your healing process of you trying to manage your emotions, you trying to basically keep your scruples about yourself. So with that being said, now you have to basically identify, okay, where am I in this situation? What do I want from this situation? Because we've already made up in our mind, because one thing men don't know, when we're done, we're done. When women are done, we are done. Like the relationship is over 9 times out of 10 before we even depart from the person. And it may be similar with the opposite sex as well. But what I find is, in my 57 years of living and being in different relationships, it's not truly over until he finds someone else, I guess, because every time when they meet someone else, that person, when you look at that person, you say, oh, she looks something like me. Or damn, she acts something like me. Or yeah, she says things just like me. So I guess whatever reminds them of you, and that person is, they've become comfortable with that person, so now they're moving on. So now it's the reality of the breakup, right? So once he meets someone, now it's the reality of the breakup. So the thing of from that point is like now it's time for you to heal. Now it's time for you to start trying to manage your emotions to get over everything that this person has actually taken you through, right? So once you accept that, then now it's time to put boundaries in place. So we have to put boundaries in. Once you put your boundaries in place, now we have issues because you've never had these boundaries before. So now you're putting boundaries in place. And setting boundaries mean sometimes you have to place distance in the relationships. So displacing distance and if you co-parenting with someone or you working together, that's when clear boundaries have to be set because 9 times out of 10, right, when we're in relationships with people, sometimes because we have kids with them, they feel like we forever have this obligation to satisfy needs, your sexual needs when they need to be met, and that is not the case. Or it's an opportunity to play the game of, and we all do that on both sex. We use the children to as bargaining tools to kind of leverage the breakup relationship that we're having right now, which is it turns into an unhealthy relationship at that point. And then at that and during that time, you're supposed to be reflecting on the lessons that you've learned and whatever happened in that in relationship to kind of where you guys separated anyway, right? So now we're trying to reflect on everything that happened. Now it's time for you to take accountability for your actions in that relationship, and it's also time for the other person to take accountability in a broken relationship. So after you establish boundaries and you start reflecting on what happened, then you start recognizing what is it that I want from a healthy relationship and how am I going to move forward with how am I going to move forward with having other relationships, right? So if we're still entertaining the other parties that we were involved with, then of course you're not growing and you're not moving from that situation, which makes it the grieving process last longer. um it's just um it just prolongs the healing process, and it prolongs how long um you're gonna stay in a spiraling in a repetitive cycle of bullshit. And I'm just gonna say it because the so it just it's I don't know if I'm live on Facebook or not. It's saying that I'm live on Facebook. So let me check for a second, y'all. My two people fake me out, girl.
Jesus,
So I'm on here by myself trying to wing
it's
it.
okay. Then all you had to do was just start talking. The people you
Yeah,
can left
I've been
they was gonna help you out. It was gonna be all right. I was in the
yeah.
tub. I was
Well,
working
yeah.
in outside.
Well, yeah, it's gonna be all right, baby. It's gonna be all right. One way or the other, it's gonna be all right. Cause
Ooh, you blew my
because
eardrum out.
oh I'm girl. Let me fix this right fast because Darlene said I'm not showing. I don't know why it does this because I went to it's not showing live. Like I'm not live. So now I'm live. So I'm here, y'all. I don't know if y'all were trying to get with me before, but I'm here. Um I'm here. So as I was saying, I have Miss Master Coach True the Boss that has joined me in this conversation. She the only one love me out of the two sap sucking motherfuckers that I invited. I say, excuse my language.
Oh,
But the thing
Jesus.
is, if I invite you on my show, I just want to say that if I invite you and I send you the stuff, please say if you coming on or not. If you're not coming on, just step up and say I'm not coming on. But don't tell me you coming on here and then I'm expecting you to come on because if I'm checking in with you, it's for a reason. Okay, so now we have a broken down relationship because now I don't trust you no more.
Oh,
so
Lord.
so the thing of it is it's like no people be pissing me off like why you gotta be lying and stuff, you know what I'm saying,
I
just
just
be
want y'all to know this is a Gemini moment she's having.
and I can't help that. I can't help my Gemini moments because I am having one right now. But I'm just saying, why y'all be lying? Just be straightforward. If you ain't podcast material, just say I ain't getting on no podcast because I don't want to talk about relationship stuff or whatever. But don't have me sitting online waiting for you to pop up and then you don't pop up. And like I said before, so now it's a broken relationship and now I don't trust you on what you do. And as
Oh,
for Sam, I know you gonna watch later, sis, but you already know me, but I know you and I love you. We communicate, so I already know you have things going on. But you gonna
so that meant that
communicate.
wasn't for you, but for everybody else, that
But
must have was for you.
that was for you. Okay. So now I done got that off my chest.
Oh my God.
Like the lady in Iraq said, clear the way.
What did I come in on? That's all I want to know.
So
Oh my God.
what I was talking about is I was just talking about how healing. How do we heal from broken relationships? Because I will do this next week as I talk about with more of a panel of real people on here. Like not talking about you, friend, because you always.
Girl, wait, you saw that look out. Wait, what?
So what I was talking about was I went through the steps of acknowledging and processing your emotions when once we separate from someone, accepting the reality of the breakup, setting boundaries in the once you in distance if necessary, and if you're co-parenting, find a way to set those boundaries when you're co-parenting with someone, and then reflecting on the lessons that you've learned from that toxic relationship to know when you move on to another relationship, knowing what you want from those relationships and how to take care of ourselves. And I was in the middle of saying, like, if we in setting boundaries is so important, especially when we have kids with individuals, because for some reason when we have kids with it's like you're forever their property and they're still trying to come back and rekindle something that they know is toxic anyway. And that kind of prevents you from healing from everything that has torn you down as a woman in that relationship, and knowing how to set those boundaries, not thinking that you have to barter your kids or barter your body just to get money or to keep him paying child support or keep him involved in your kids' lives. So setting those boundaries is so important. Um, challenging yourself about negative beliefs about love and things like that. Because when I used to feel like I had two bad relationships. So I used to feel like all men were the same. Like all men were just dogs. All men are just out here to just abuse women and just do just totally just kind of just to bring a woman down. This is what men are here for. But what I've learned throughout my life is that all men are not the same. And there are some generous men. There are some real men out here that still value women. And this is my thing, something I'm learning in life as I move forward. That is a question on my dating, or when I'm seeing someone. How do you value a woman? And I always look at how a man has his relationship with his mother. If he has a good relationship with his mother and he values his mother, he respects his mother, that means he's going to respect you. If you find somebody out there and they're disrespecting their mother, they cursing their mama out, how do you think he values you as a woman? So those are the things that we need to look at as females to determine, in our next steps as to what we want out of relationships and how we're going to carry out it. I mean, unless you just like men that just curse you out and abuse you and verbally abuse you. I mean, because we all have our thing, but I know that's not my thing. I don't know about you, friend.
Not at all. I'm sorry. I can't help you on that one. Can't hear you. What you say? Ooh, I wish a person would.
Yeah.
Not me.
So
Mm-mm.
so I'm just, it's just like and moving forward. And then, I pulled all of this stuff, from this new little thing that they call GPT chat. And that little animal is kind of smart, right? So
Okay.
so so I put in there like healing from broken relationships.
Yeah.
And it's
But
it.
can I say something first?
Uh-huh.
Because I wasn't here when you first opened up. So I know that the talk is about broken relationships and do we become overly cautious, or do we become free agents? So
Mm-hmm.
when a relationship ends, people tend to respond one or two ways. Like you said, they become cautious, right? Overly cautious, or they embrace a free agent mentality, right? So
Mm-hmm.
both reactions are what stem from how we process our emotional pains, our trust issues, our personal growth after we break up,
Yes.
right? So when you become overly cautious, some individuals, they tend to put that wall up. They become more guarded, and they hesitate to even gain trust again, right? This basically happens when that breakup is usually painful to them, right? Or
Yeah.
even or involve betrayal, or left emotionally scarred. And overly cautious individuals, they may what fear? They may start to fear what? Fear vulnerability, void deep emotional connections with people, overanalyze potential partners because of their past situations, or even bring past situations into a new situation, which is a red flag sometimes, right? Projecting the past experiences onto that
Mm-hmm.
new relationship. And they also hesitate to invest in emotion, even invest emotionally with the next person. That which leads to what? Self-sabotaging. They
Uh-huh.
self-sabotage themselves, or they miss opportunities for meaningful connections. I know I've been through that. I've been
Yeah.
through that.
Yeah, I've been through
Um,
that as well. I mean, and I still am overly cautious. I'm very overly cautious, and I do have a wall up, which makes it very difficult for me to meet anyone, because anyone that I meet, I tell myself I'm ready to date, I'm ready to move on, I'm ready to get with someone. But I had someone to tell me, because I said, I'm never going to trust anyone the way I trusted in my last relationship, that I wasn't healed. And I don't believe that's so. It's just that it's not that I'm not healed from that relationship. It's just that I am
You're
I'm cautious, and I'm
right.
very
In which
cautious, and I'm not going to be as free willing as I was in that last relationship. It's not that I'm not healed. I'm not freely giving away Kecia.
right. That's because what you're doing is you're forming a self-protection for yourself. And that can basically prevent you from healing or even growing. And most people don't understand it. You without that balance, it may lead you to isolation. And we don't want to be alone, because guess what? God made Eve for Adam.
Mm-hmm.
He made Eve for Adam. So we gotta wait for our Adam to be, our Adam. We Eve. So
Mm-hmm.
we gotta wait for God to send us our Adam, right? So while that is being done, we start to embrace what? Being a free agent mentality. That's what we start doing. We start embracing that free agent mentality, which what happened is we get stuck. Once we start embracing that free agent mentality, we get stuck. And
Uh-huh.
on that hand, some people respond by fully embracing their independency. They start to prioritize their personal freedom. They exploring various romance, right? Or even casual connections, which is still not good to me. But I mean, a free agent can what? They can look like anybody. They can prioritize careers, hobbies, friendships over romantic attachments.
Mm-hmm.
They can view relationships as temporary or even as non-existential, right? This leads what? To cautious dating without long-term connections.
Yeah,
They don't want that intent.
yeah, and I think that's where I am. I don't view relationship as something that can be existential. So I kind of, I don't know, I may self-sabotage the
I mean,
relationship.
we all do at some point, but it's just that's a mind thing. It's a mind thing. But the middle ground, we have to do like the middle ground, that intentional healing and that growth. We have to be able to do that, because neither extreme is inherently wrong. They're not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to be able to have a balanced approach that leads to a healthier relationship in our future. So what do that even look like? We have to be able to consider reflecting, self-awareness, boundaries versus barriers, healthy expectations. We got to be able to do those things. So when we looking at reflections and reflecting in self-awareness, we have to be able to understand what went wrong first in our
Mm-hmm.
relationship, or what went wrong in a past relationship, or what went wrong um, in personal growth needs, and or whatever it is that needs to happen. We got to be able to understand that, be self-aware, reflect on those things. Then we have to be able to do those boundaries versus barriers and learn from the difference between protecting yourself and pushing yourself away,
Yeah,
because we do that.
and what I tend to kind of um but I tend to recognize when I'm talking to people about relationships and relationship issues is that so many women I find tend to give more of themselves. Like we become the relationship. Like we stop
Right,
going out with our friends. We stop
right.
doing the things that we love to do. And we become less of the person that the guy actually was attracted to in the beginning. And we become assimilated and attached to whatever he has going on, as
You
opposed to who we
you
are.
Right. So you lose your individuality because you didn't melt it to the person that this person wants you to be. And it's not just a woman's thing. It's a male thing as well. We in a relationship, you're not supposed to lose your individuality, regardless of what relationship you're in. You're never supposed to lose your individuality. Because you are individual first. And that's what relationships people seem to miss. I'm still an individual. I was an individual when you met me. This is what I'm doing. This is the things I've done. This is the things I like to do. These are the things I need to continue to do. And don't get me wrong, anybody who's listening on here, I am not by no means a relationship counselor. I do not do relationships by no means at all. But at the same time, as an individual, you have to maintain your individuality. When you get into a new relationship or a relationship with a person and you guys decide to become a partner, now you have to figure out how we're going to melt together. I don't need you changing me, and I don't want you changing, and I don't want you changing you. You know what I'm saying? So you have to continue to move forward as individuals. Now you have to melt together and become one. How do you do that? You basically teach that person who you are, and he become you, and you become him. Now y'all have two of each person. He know how you think, you know how he think, and now y'all have two individuals. It's nothing wrong with that. When it's time for him to go about his business, it's okay. All right, I'll see you when you go. It's no where you going, how you going, what time you gonna be back, and all of that. No, we didn't do that before, so we don't need to do that now. I trust you. But that means when I'm out, you don't need to be calling me. What you doing? How you doing? What time you coming back? Blah, 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 blah. Except unless you have some plan and say, okay, well, I have some plan for us. Whatever the case may be, can we get together? Because I know you're out doing whatever. But it doesn't have to be that way. And then y'all have to respect each other's time when y'all are together. A lot of people don't do that. People, y'all hit below the belt. Y'all do all kind of things. And this is not just men. It's women too. They all doing the same things.
Yeah, I think it's definitely equal, because we as women are just as guilty as dysfunctional relationships as the male is. But I was saying earlier, in order, we have to take account, at some point we have to take accountability for our parts in whatever happened or whatever is going on in relationships. And so many times we are not willing to take accountability for our part in a relationship. I never blame someone, and I used to say to a person that I was dating, or you did this, you made me do this, or you made me do that. And I had to come to the realization, he didn't make me do anything. Everything that I was doing it because that's what I wanted to do. It's just that I didn't have the communication skills to communicate my wants and my needs appropriately to that person, because I didn't know how to communicate with that person. My wants.
Was it that you didn't know how to communicate with that person, or was it that you wanted to make that person happy? Because that's two different things. Communicating with somebody and trying to make that person happy is two different things. So were you trying to make that person happy? Because on my end, I was trying to make somebody happy. I am always trying to please my person. I don't try to please everybody, but when I'm in a relationship, I'm out to please my person. That's all I want to do.
Well, I think when we're in relationships, we're gonna try to please our person. And yes, I was trying to please that person, but also it was a communication thing, because it just was like the communication just was not connecting. Who I was somebody that I don't even know what the situation is. It's just that the communication wasn't there. Real conversations were not had. And what I've learned from that relationship is, if a person is not willing to change some things about themselves to appease you, don't do it just because they have some men, and in my relationships with my two children's dad and the last relationship that I was in, whenever I communicated with them about things that I didn't like in a relationship, or things that I didn't want to happen, or things that I was displeased with, is as if, they changed for a week, and then the next week they're back on to different things. So as a result of how how those relationships ended, I mean, I don't know if you would call it a free agent or what it is or whatever, but at this point in time, it's all about meeting my needs. If I don't feel like, if you ain't meeting any of my needs, then your ass got to go. Hey, Jerome.
Okay, so question on that, because I think boundaries need to be set in the very beginning. Boundaries have to be set in the very beginning. If boundaries are not set in your relationship in the very beginning, you don't know their boundaries, they don't know your boundaries. Boundaries can always be adjusted at any time. So if you don't know their personal interests, they don't know your personal interests, y'all haven't sat down and discussed these things. What are your likes? What are your dislikes? What is your mom like? You know, what did you do as a child? Was you sheltered? I mean, we got to learn how to ask questions, people. We can't just say, okay, give me your number, I'll call you. Hey, what you doing, baby? What you got on? Fuck all that. It's not even about all that.
Oh,
I need to know what are your future, what your future look like in the next 3 years? What are your plans?
Because in one of my
If a
questions
person don't have a plan and don't have no idea and tell you they living day to day, get the hell away.
But my question, and see, I always look at, and I go back to, I always watch how a guy treats his mom, how he treats his sister, what does his family life look like? Because I'm a very family oriented person, like, and you know this true. Anybody that I consider my friends, they know my family. My family know my friends. They know my mama. You gonna talk to Audrey, baby, if you my friend. So, and my mama gonna be your friend. She might call your ass one day and say, "What you doing, child? You want to go to a concert? You want to go to a party?" Because I'm gonna bring you to meet my mother. So if I'm bringing you to meet my mom, that means you mean something to me as a friend, as a significant other, what have you. I consider you a friend of mine. But I always take in consideration how a man treats his mom. If you treat your mom and your sisters like shit, I know how that's gonna go, and I know how it's gonna end. I know what kind of role we gonna have, and I'm not for fighting with a nigga every step of the way. For 13 years of my life, I'm going back and forth with somebody round and round in circles. I'm catching flashbacks right now, but
I don't fully agree with that. And the only reason why I don't fully agree with that, because all parents are not good parents.
Yeah,
all
you're
parents,
right. You're right.
Yeah, so,
you're right about
like I
that.
said, so there's some questions that have to be asked in a relationship. I don't care how you look at it. You cannot bypass certain things when you're in a relationship or trying to get into a relationship with a male or a female or whatever the case may be. There are so many things that have to be asked, and so many boundaries. I don't care if it's just valuing your beliefs. I don't care if it's just your personal interests. I don't care if it's just love and relationships. I don't care if it's communication and a compatibility, goals and ambition. We got to be able to ask questions. Pull some questions. What about, like you say, family and social life? How close are you with your family? That's one. How close are you with your family? Because if he have a traumatizing family, this man may have some trauma that he's dealing with. Are you willing to deal with that?
But
that's number one.
Well, yeah, but the question is, just because your mom is a horrible mother, does that still give you the right to disrespect your mother? That's still your mother, regardless of what. I
understand what you're saying. I do. But at the same time, you don't know what that mom did. We really don't know, because you are outside looking in. Hey, Jackie, you're outside looking in. So we got to put some serious thought into what we do. Even like, do you enjoy social gatherings, or do you prefer intimate settings? We got to look at this. What a childhood memory that shape. What is a childhood memory that shapes you? Think about some of those questions. We have to be able to ask questions. How do you typically spend your holidays?
Yeah.
These are questions for family and social life.
Yeah, and that all plays a major part into how you heal from different things, like how you heal, because you can still be going through trauma, and we both healing through this trauma. And I always say and looking forward, because I know I've had trauma in my life. I think we live in New Orleans, we've all had some type of trauma in our lives. But
so there's another one for you. If a woman, I'm just saying, if a woman had a lot of trauma because her mama was selling her every night, And that this woman found a man, and a man asked her some questions about her family. And she don't go to family gatherings. She don't get along with her mom. She cusses her mom out. Is that a reason for her to cuss her mom and not get along with her mom? Understand what the Bible says. Let's just think about this. Understand what the Bible says. But her mom was selling her when she was a child. Let's say starting at the age of 5.
But
so listen to me. We got to
okay,
realize we taking the Bible out of the situation.
okay.
While thou shalt now disrespect and all of this stuff. You got to. I treat people. I treat people where they meet me at. I'm sorry. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're elder. If you disrespect me, I promise you, I will disrespect you back. And that is me. That is how I take life, and that is what it is. Because everybody think that they can go along in life and tell you what the hell they want to tell you, and that is okay. And half of these people in this world do some stuff shit, and guess what? I ain't allowing nobody to do nothing for me, and I raise my kids the same way. So respect people who respect you. If people do not show you respect, you do not get my respect, and it's point blank. That's how I live. So I don't care who you are. And my children are allowed to come to me and tell me anything. It's just the way that they tell it to me.
I agree with that.
But if your mama is selling you starting at the age of 5, for whatever reason, I don't care what the reason is, and this lady is traumatized, and she find a man, and she has all this trauma in her life, how would you react to that? Or vice versa, if the woman was selling him, if his mom was selling him, and you met a man, how would you take that?
Well, but I have something to say on that, because this way I'm gonna be a little transparent here. So my dad was very abusive. Like, he abused my mom. He like I said, he abused. Y'all have heard me say that he abused every woman that he came in contact with. Me, he and I never got along. We used to fight all the time. And at the time when I was growing up as a young girl, I was angry. I had no respect for him whatsoever as a youngster, because for me, he was a womanizer. He was a drug addict. You know what I'm saying? He didn't respect his mama. I mean, he respected his mom to a degree, but I don't even know what to call the dynamics of it all, but I felt like they coddled and they made excuses for his substance abuse, which made him abuse his children, which made him abuse women and things like that. But the thing of it is, as I got older and after I had my kids, because I'm the oldest child out of all of my brothers and sisters. I have 3 sisters and I have 2 brothers. One is like, he did live with my mom, but 4 of us are my daddy's kids, so we had to deal with his shit, right? His highs and lows of being a fucking addict. So as a child, I was angry. I didn't respect him. If you would have asked me something about him, no, I wouldn't have respected him. But as I got older and he was dying in the hospital, I felt like this: I have to forgive that. Because if I don't forgive how I feel about this person, I'm not going to be able to move on with my life. And I had a long conversation with my dad. And after we had a conversation on his deathbed, he cried, and if I was younger, I would have been like, man, I don't give a fuck about you crying. Fuck you. And whatever it is, what it is. But I embrace that. I embrace his apology. So just because you make mistakes in your life, because people have sicknesses, they have mental health illnesses, they have substance abuse illnesses that make them do things, which is not an excuse for their actions. But yeah, as a human being, I feel like every human deserves to be respected. And I'm gonna treat you with respect and I feel like as long as you don't cross my boundaries and into my world, because at the end of the day, I can respect you from a distance, I can love you from a distance, but I don't have to allow you into my world. But
exactly. But you learned that because of growth, not only because of growth, because of schooling. Everybody don't have what we have. Everybody don't have what we have, and everybody don't seek counseling. Everybody don't seek coaching. Everybody don't seek these things, and they feel that it's unnecessary. But because we have growth, because we have the knowledge, we were able to do that because I went through the same thing. I went through the same thing. So I was able to say, okay, I love my dad. I forgive my dad for everything he's done. I forgive whatever, I forgive people, and I'm able to move on. But I am not going to let nobody disrespect me. But at the same time, if you get into a relationship and that person is still traumatized and dealing with that, this is what I'm asking you. How would you deal with it?
Well, how would I do if I was that person, or if I was that person
and that man,
if I'm in that trauma, still in that trauma phase of my life, then yes,
not you been. I'm talking about who you are now, but that person you're about to get into a relationship with has been traumatized, and he's cussing his mom out because he doesn't forgive her. He don't know anything about this. Are you willing to move forward with that relationship, or are you willing to say, fuck it, I'm out, I can't do this?
Well, no, we're going to have to work through this, because just like I learned, then he's going to have to, I mean, I don't know. It just depends. I really can't give a straight answer on it, because it just depends on where that person is in their mindset, if they're willing to receive seeking forgiveness so they can heal from that. Because if they're not willing to seek forgiveness, and they're not willing to, because the only way you can heal from that type of shit, if you are seeking, if you forgive first, it starts with yourself. You got to forgive yourself for feeling the way you felt. The many times you said, oh, I hate that motherfucker, I wish that motherfucker died. Everything that you ever said that was negative.
All I'm asking is all this. All I was saying was, this goes back to the questions. Asking questions, because if you ask certain questions, you are able to make those determinations early.
Yes, because
to know if this is what I want to fucking deal with, or if I got to get the fuck out the way. Exactly. Point fucking blank. It is what it is.
Because at the end of the day, if that person is not seeking to heal from whatever they're going through, then that relationship is going to be a toxic relationship for you, because they're going to be projecting those feelings on you. Eventually, you're going to become the target. You're going to go.
That's why I'm saying these questions are so important. They are so important, like a mud. I'm telling you. Even trying to figure out what's fun and what's just random. What's fun and what's random. We got to figure all that shit out. What if they just sit home all day and they don't like to do anything?
Exactly. Or
what are your guilty pleasures? That's what you ask a person. What are your guilty pleasures?
And
what if they say they sit home? What if they say they binge watch reality TV and eat way too much dessert? What if they just say that?
Well, we're going to be binge watching and eating pecan pie together.
So we got to be asking all kind of questions, just trying to figure out, I mean.
And that's one of the things I never, like that last situation I was in, bitch, I ain't asked no questions. I was like, oh, Lord, he giving me money. He taking
what you probably did was like, oh, you fine as hell. Damn, man.
Oh, he got this, he got that.
Let me cop that one right there. Let me holler at you, player.
Yeah, he gotta be sane. He gotta be sane. He can't be crazy, because he got all this material stuff. He got a good job. He know how to make money, but underneath all of the Gucci, or underneath the Gucci belt, the Gucci shoes, the Gucci glasses, baby, the devil is looking at you underneath all of that. And I had to learn that lesson. And I'm saying to myself, I'm like, oh my God, why did it take me until I was 55, 54 years old to see the devil?
Ooh, girl, wait. I had this guy who always flirted with me, right? Always flirted with me, never gave him the time to stay still. Because, I mean, you're like a little child of me, baby. Go sit down somewhere for real. And then one day I was in the store and he asked me, was I crazy? I was on the phone with 2 other people. And he said, you always look nice. You know, you always come in here and get what you need and you leave out. And, you know, I've been trying to talk to you. He said, I got to ask you a question. Are you crazy? I ain't never had nobody ask me that shit before. I'm like, so I put the people that was on the phone with me. I say, this person just asked me if I'm crazy. They were like, yeah, she crazy, bro. Leave her alone. You better run.
Girl, I have people that don't even know me telling other people I'm crazy. One of my coworkers, he said, yeah, I asked so and so, did he know you? He said, oh yeah, Kecia crazy. I said, well, how would he know if I'm crazy? Because I never had a relationship with that person. They don't know anything about me, so why would they say I'm crazy? I said, but they may be going off of what somebody else said to them that I'm crazy. But I think 9 times out of 10, when you put up boundaries to people with people, and you start laying out those boundaries, and when you separate from someone, then they want to go around saying, oh, she crazy, or she this, or she that. And I know that I've handled some things differently in my life, because I don't want to say it, but I mean, I can say it because anybody know me, they know me. So I had this little thing where if you play with me, I don't care where you play with me at. If we gonna play the game, we gonna play the game. That's what it is.
We gonna play it together.
We gonna play it together. So if you gonna tell me lies and tell me you ain't doing X, Y, and Z, and I see you doing X, Y, and Z, and I come up to you in a place where you at, where you say you doing what you, and I see you doing what you say you're not doing, I'm gonna check your ass on it. Right in there.
I wouldn't check him. I'll just walk up to him and say, I'm Chucky. Wanna play? There you go. So, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Yeah. You wanna play? Then let's play this game. And you don't want to play with Chucky, because Chucky gonna win in the end all the time. All the time. So if you provoke me, but what I'm learning is once I set those boundaries, I have to live and stand by those boundaries. So checking somebody on something they say they're not doing and what they're doing, and I see them doing it anyway, the only thing I could do is, and like I say, I've learned to hold myself accountable. If you're coming in to me telling me, oh, I don't do this, or I'm not doing that, oh, and this is that, and this is what I want with you, and this is why, and it's not like this because of that, and I'm not doing this and that, all of that BS, and I see you doing it from now on, I've learned that, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to walk away, and we're not going to ever have those conversations again, because Maya Angelou did not lie when she said, once they show you who they are, believe them. Mm-hmm. So I have to hold myself accountable. So we're not playing these games no more. So if a person if you can't meet up, because you're putting the expectation out there, once you start to have a conversation with me, you're giving me an ideal of what I should expect from your character. And if you can't deliver that, and I see that the first time I see a flaw in your actions, because it has nothing to do with your words, and moving forward, and I don't care if it's female, male, or whomever it may be, if I see a flaw in that, and if you renege on anything that you've ever told me, then guess what? I'm going to believe you who you are, and I'm going to treat you as such. And I'm not going to ever not speak to you. I'm going to always be cordial. I'm going to always be friendly. We could have good conversation if you want to have good conversation, but I'm not going to let you play in my face.
All right. All right. When we got to remember that people wear masks. They are imposters. Don't give them your cliff notes to who you are, because they'll take those cliff notes and do exactly what you tell them until they get what they want or get you where they want you at. And then now you're all right. You're caught up. You're caught up
Mm-hmm.
into some shit that you really don't want to be in, shouldn't be in, and can't get out of. So don't give anybody the cliff notes to your life, to your heart, to your mind. Let them basically find out how to love you, how to maneuver around you, how to take care of you. Do not give them the cliff notes. Let them take their mask off. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. And in ending this, I just want to say, guys, we have to learn how to love ourselves first. And once we truly become in tune to who we are, as females, as males, knowing what we want from relationships and not being afraid to put out those boundaries, because you can't be afraid to say, hey, I don't give you permission to do this to me. Or, hey, these are my boundaries. These are my expectations of this relationship. And if this is not, if you can't meet my expectations, you can let me know that now and you can walk away. So we have to become free agents, and I call that being a free agent, when you can have free will to say what you want, to put your boundaries out there and not be afraid to lose someone. Because remember, when one door opens, another one always closes, and you never know what you're missing out on. And you never know who you're talking to when you meet people on the street. So you have to keep an open mind, and
Yeah.
just remember who you are. Be sexy in your own sexy. Be who you are, whether you're a man or a woman. You just have to be sexy in who you are. It doesn't take Ozempic to make you sexy, because we know does not always make you sexy.
It might make it small, but it might not make it sexy.
It might not make you sexy.
Right. And
It's all
ultimately, you guys, healing after a broken relationship, you guys, is about reclaiming control over your emotional well-being. It's not letting past wounds, you guys, dictate your future. Where the cautious or free spirit. The key is to make choices that aligns with your self-respect, your personal growth, and your genuine connection.
yes.
And that's all I have for tonight.
That's like all
I
you
am
have
Master
to.
Coach True Boss, y'all.
Yeah. And if y'all
And
want
follow
to,
me as well on my
yeah,
pages. Master Coach True to Boss or True to Boss, all my platforms.
all our platforms, even on TikTok, you can catch on TikTok at least 3 times a day. What's your times, True? What's your times? You going
I
live?
am on TikTok Tuesday through Friday, 9 a.m.
Okay. And you guys can continue to follow me and at YouTube at KRead2B. My how you can follow me is online, Facebook and IG, KPR Productions LLC. And guess what? I'll see you guys next week. And we can continue some good discussions. If you guys have any suggestions for discussions, send those in. You can always inbox me. And with that being said, I love you guys and thank you for tuning in. And I'll see you next Wednesday. Good
Boss
night.
up.